And the big story tonight, gunshots ring out in Yakima. It's another gang shooting. 2 victims are in the hospital, one of them in critical condition. The shooting took place here on North 4th around 7 p.m. It's near the area where there was a shooting and an attempted robbery earlier this week. The shooters took off. The victims actually drove off as well, finally waving down a police unit at 6th and Fruitvale. Our Action News cameras, the only ones at the scene as the paramedics arrived. One of the victims suffered a gunshot wound to the head. He is in critical condition. The other was shot in the upper arm. His condition not known right now. Both victims taken to the hospital. Investigators are still piecing together the evidence. And Kennewick police are investigating a stabbing. It happened around 5:30 on West 5th Avenue. A woman called 911 after she stepped out of her house and saw the 17-year-old male on her lawn. He had been stabbed in the arm and the stomach. He was taken to the hospital. His wounds do not appear to be life-threatening. Well, a simple computer glitch at the Mapton wastewater treatment plant flooded the Yakima River with a massive amount of raw sewage. It happened 2 weeks ago, and the Department of Ecology didn't find out about it until this week. We're talking about 300,000 gallons of the mess. It happened on the weekend when no one was at the plant, so it just kept pouring out the waste. No one at the plant or the city would answer our phone calls, but we did speak with the Department of Ecology.
This is just an indication that these kinds of things do need to be checked, and it is something that the communities need to do. You don't want to wait until an accident happens like this.
Now, the water is not used for drinking, although it is used for watering lawns. Ecology doesn't believe there is a health risk, but this is not the first time they've had problems with the Mapton plant. There were almost 200 violations there just last year under a different operator. And here's a story you're only going to see on Action News. We discovered there is something missing in Mesa. The Franklin County town has no mayor. Take a look. Here's last night's council meeting, and there's the empty seat. It's been that way for months since the mayor resigned and no one stepped forward to be appointed. Now the job's been open for so long, it's actually in the governor's hands to appoint someone.
Keep waiting, and life will go on. Mesa will keep running, and I'll keep Mayor Pro Tem and keep doing whatever has to be done.
Now, we called the governor's office. Reps say they're getting advice from the attorney general's office. They also told us they cannot remember the last time the governor had to appoint a mayor. Well, you've heard Pasco is cutting back because of a tight budget, and Action News wanted to know if your safety will suffer. The city will lose a police officer and a crime prevention position in order to cut $500,000 from the budget, but the city manager says he is not picking on police. Of a $30 million budget, the police department makes up a third of the expense, so it's bound to get the biggest cut.
What would you say to people who are concerned about their safety when there are cuts from the police department?
Well, there's always going to be concerns about safety. You do as good as you can with what you have. There are a lot of responsibilities the city has to fulfill by law. And one of them, it's not just police.
Now, Action News discovered Pasco's current crime rate, by the way, is the lowest ever recorded in the city. And Action News has found out that the last log has been removed from the old Boise Cascade mill site that caught fire last fall in Yakima. Now the door is open for new development. So far, the city has been approached by a local car dealership as well as the Yakima Bears as a site for a new sports stadium. And now that the EMS levy passed in West Richland, Action News has learned just how long it's going to take until you see an ambulance run out of the city. 2/3 of West Richland voters said yes to adding paramedics to West Richland Fire. In the past, ambulances called to the city had to come from Richland, Benton City, or if things were really busy, from Kennewick. The chief tells Action News he is going to get an ambulance running by the beginning of next year, but the rest of the plan is going to take longer.
What's your goal to have everything in place? The paramedics, the ambulance, the base space?
Well, it'll probably be at least 3 years to accomplish all that. Can't just tomorrow start it. We don't have the funds to do that, so we'll have to wait for those funds to start to be collected.
Now, the 6-year levy will collect about $500,000 a year. A big part of Hanford's cleanup effort is taking place right now. 9 radioactive hot cells packed up and sealed for disposal. Action News has the only video of the workers rolling out another hot cell today, each can weighing up to 200 tons. It's just one reason the work is going at a snail's pace. They also move slowly because what's inside these containers is deadly.
The purpose of the building was to do testing on irradiated materials in there, and over the course of the building there were numerous accidents that spread contaminations.
Now, this hot cell was not lifted this morning because it was just too windy, but once it is, it will go into a special brown container, and they'll fill that with cement. By summer, all the material in these boxes will be shipped to Hanford's Environmental Restoration Disposal Facility.
Well, good evening and welcome back to Action News. And as we take a look at our headlines, we'll start off with our pinpoint radar. You can see not a whole lot going on here, just a few clouds. But taking a look at our weather headlines, well, you can see we're seeing just a few clouds out there. It's going to be a little bit breezy at times, and we'll get those weather headlines coming up here for you a little later on in the program. In the meantime, pretty clear out there right now. Those winds are breezy as well. Tomorrow, a different day. What will it bring? I'll have all the details on that coming up in just a few moments. Terry, back to you.
Thank you very much. Well, last night here on Action News, we told you how much money the underachieving schools in our area would be receiving from the feds. Well, Action News reporter Melissa Wagner now tells us how those millions will be put to use.
With more than $10 million on the line over a 3-year period, the Yakima School District is looking to make a difference in how students are learning at Adams Elementary, Washington Middle School, and Stanton Academy. Here's the breakdown. Adams will get almost $3 million over 3 years. Washington and Stanton, roughly $2.5. And the district itself just over $2 million. We told you 2 principals will be moved as required by the feds. That includes Dave Chaplin, who will take over Washington Middle School. The district is still looking for a replacement for him at Adams. Rita Sedano says she hopes they hire someone bilingual.
Because there's a lot of Hispanic students here at Adams.
The district will hire an instructional facilitator, someone who will support the schools and their staff during the changes.
Because our schools have demonstrated a high need is to have access to a team of people who can support us in a way that the other schools might not have that support.
They'll reassign 2 of the district's 4 math specialists to Adams and Washington and expand several programs at the middle school, including adding accelerated math. Stanton Academy students will also see some programs change to include more training for trade schools, college, and the military. Preschoolers will spend more time in class. Adams will bump its preschool program to full day. And for Rita, who has 2 little girls who will soon be in that program, she likes what she's hearing.
They had to focus more on being in school and all day instead of half day.
All 3 will be adding 20 days of school to the year.
We've got to get more time in during the course of the day with those kids
to make sure they're getting the most of their education and are more than ready to move ahead. Melissa Wagner, Action News.
And the assistant principal at Adams is also leaving for family reasons, so that school will have new leadership all around. No word yet on where the current principal of Washington Middle School will end up. And Action News has learned there are even more changes coming to the West Valley School District. Some kids who go to Cottonwood will be sent to a different school. The area of red here is a pocket of neighborhoods north of Summit View Elementary where kids are bused all the way over to Cottonwood. This will no longer be the case. These kids will be sent to Apple Valley Elementary instead.